guys, I did not have an intro for this morning because it is raining and I've got trucks that are actively dumping, and so I am getting straight to. Oh, here comes Bill to chat it up with me. Good. Hang on just a second, guys.
A couple more dumped out here so you can start in the driveway and start pushing back, that way you don't get in the mud, or what do you?
Yeah, what I'll do is I'll get these shoved out and I'm gonna push them this way, and then I'll just sit sideways and the truck should know to dump right in front of my blade and I can control them. So we're good.
Some of these got, already a guy drove back there and he got stuck. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing?
I told you.
I mean, the second guy.
Truck drivers, they're their own breed. So I don't know if you guys heard that, but Bill just said that I had told him when I came out of here on Wednesday that that someone was going to go out there and get stuck, because that's just what truck drivers do. And sure enough, he just confirmed. The first driver this morning drove right out into the wet stuff and got himself stuck, like I predicted. If you guys that watch are in the industry, you know how drivers are. So anyway, as I was saying, no intro this morning just because it is raining, as you can see, and I've got piles already sitting. So I'm going to get caught up here with the trucks. So we're just going to get right to it this morning. All I'm doing over here on this side is trying to blend it down to where it doesn't have a hard, fat edge that you're going to run up over. So once I get caught up here, I will actually get out, and I'm thinking I'm going to throw one of my GoPros out there on a tripod and we'll get some time lapse of the day, because we should have a fair amount of trucks coming in here and dumping, so we ought to move relatively quickly on getting the pad built, and then we'll start stockpiling, so it should make for some good footage. So now what I'm going to do is, like I've talked about before, I'm going to let some material build up on my blade before I put it in float. And now I'm going to put the blade in float, and I'm just going to back drag this. And that should give me a nice blend down to the existing dirt when we get back here. And I just come off of it slow. Same thing, I'm gonna manually put my blade down, build up a little material, and then float. Now I'm just manually going to come out of it just nice and easy, and that's going to give me a nice blended edge. Now this one I'm going to be firm because I'm still a little fat over here.
Hey Brian, I don't want to pull too much material out in the driveway. Our pads we have nice pitch right now.
Okay.
Let's try to push. I'd rather
Push it that way.
push it that way. Yep. From here.
Okay.
Not so much out here. I mean, we can clean this up later. It's nice that we have an extra little bit just for when they're delivering.
Okay.
And I want to try to concentrate on pushing it back there. All this in here, even though it looks like a mess, it flows nice. So,
Okay.
Okay. So try to get it packed in there more.
Okay, that'll work. All right, I thought I would give you guys a quick little update here. It's 11:30, so I've been at it for 3.5 hours, and we had, I believe, 6 trucks running in the very beginning of the day. We are down to 2. The foreman or superintendent, I don't know what his official title is, that's over on the milling side, swung over, and I was chatting with him. It turns out like 4 of the trucks didn't have backup alarms, and this is a pretty large paving company in the area that is super tight on safety, and so they signed out those trucks that didn't have the backup alarms. So we're now down to 2 trucks. Supposedly they have 4 more trucks on the way. So in the next hour or so, I'm hoping our pace picks back up, because we were clipping along this morning, and now I've got probably 10 to 15 minutes between rounds of my 2 trucks, and they come back to back. So that's kind of where we're at. If you're not familiar, if you're not in the industry, what I mean when I say he signs the trucks out, on these big jobs like this, the foreman will put in a request for X amount of trucks. So let's say on this job, he puts in a request for 6 trucks. So someone in the office will set up trucking through various brokers, and they will line out 6 trucks to be here all day hauling. And when something comes up, like whether it's an emergency or you have a change in the job where you don't need the trucks anymore, or in this instance they don't meet your safety standards, the foreman can sign those trucks out, which means there's a physical ticket that the driver will hand him, and he writes their finish time on it and signs it, and that is what the truck will take back to, if it's, most of these guys drive for a trucking company as opposed to owning their own truck, but that's what they'll take back to their company, and that is the official how long they were on the job and how long they can bill for that truck for. So that is what has happened, is he signed out 4 of the trucks because of the backup alarm issue. So this is where we're at. It's slow going, unfortunately, for now. But like I said, I'm hoping here in the next hour or so we should get a couple more trucks in the rotation, and we should pick up the pace. It is funny. It's kind of a funky dynamic that I've created with this freelance operating. I'm working at a landscape supply place, but technically I'm working for my farmer buddy, because that's who owns the dozer and who is paying me to run the dozer. But all that to say, I'm in contact with the owner of the landscape supply place, and I actually shot him a text earlier before I knew what was going on and said, hey, you might want to run down the road and see if someone's stealing millings, because believe it or not, millings are pretty coveted these days, because so many of the millings actually get hauled back to asphalt plants to get recycled. It's really hard to get your hands on good, clean millings. And so a lot of times what will happen is you'll have an arrangement with whoever the milling company is that you're going to get the millings, but then people who are savvy with the industry will actually jump in, and they will flag down trucks as they're leaving the job, act like they work for the milling company or someone on the job site. They'll throw on just a safety vest, and they'll say, hey, we're going to route you over here. And as long as it's not way out of the way, and your truck cycle stays the same roughly, it takes a little while for people to notice that someone's stealing millings. And this is kind of the Wild West. I mean, there are no rules. This is literally a handshake agreement that we're going to get the millings over here. So if someone decided to jump in there and steal some millings, it's not like you can go after them legally and there's any repercussions. It's more of, you've got to stay on top of your trucks. And so as soon as I noticed we were down to 2 trucks, that was my first thought, as someone had rerouted those other trucks. But all that to say, that's not the case. They actually got signed out, so we were just kind of in a temporary lull. So anyway, that's kind of the update. I'm not going to keep the camera on because this is it. I mean, I'll get this truck, and here within another 4 minutes, I'll get my second truck, and then it's another 10 minutes between rounds. So it's really not worth recording. But anyway, that's the update. I will catch you guys here in a little bit. All right, guys, quick update. The lot is done. It's all draining to the back corner, and I have started to build a pile back there, which you can kind of see now out front. But the foreman of the job just swung by, and I was talking to him to kind of gauge how much material we've got here. So overall, we've got 6,600 tons that are going to come in. The majority are going to go here, so I would say probably 4,000 to 5,000 ton are going to go here. And then another 1,500 or so thousand ton is going to go down the road. And so I asked him, we are sitting at about 800 ton here. So what I'm going to do, instead of working the snot out of the dozer, trying to stuff everything super high at the get-go, I'm actually going to start a second lift right here, and we're going to start building a ramp so that eventually I can back my trucks up as far as I can go within reason. And that will save me a crap load of pushing and hopefully make life a lot easier for everyone. So that is the plan. That's what I'm working on right now. I just dumped my first load to start doing that, and we're just gonna put a pretty gentle slope on this. I don't want to go crazy until these trucks have a chance to pack it in, because it will not take much for these guys to slip. So that's where we're at. And it looks like we're getting another little rain shower. Kind of been sporadically sprinkling off and on all day. Doesn't want to make up its mind on what it wants to do. And we'll dump our next one right there, and we'll just start building ourselves a ramp, and we'll get as high as we can. And that will not only eat up a bunch of material that's already going to sit here on the pad anyway, but that will eventually make it to where I'm able to stack pretty high in the back, but the trucks are getting it, 50 to 70% of the way up there without me having to shove it. So work smarter, not harder. But anytime you're doing something like this, we're going to have a ton of loose material. We don't want to go too fat on our lifts. That might even be too fat. We'll have to do some experimenting with our trucks and see how far up they can get. But because that's loose material, what happens a lot of time, millings, you can get away with a little fatter lift because they stick together a little better. But what happens is the tires actually start to mash the material and push it behind, push it forward of the tire. So in reverse, the truck is pushing it backwards, and it will rip off mud flaps, and generally the truck won't be able to go much further. So we'll have to kind of do baby lifts in here until the trucks have a chance to kind of pack it in, and then we can get a little more aggressive. These truck drivers are really struggling to put it in front of the blade today. It's truck drivers, and if you're a truck driver, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but you know how it is. You know how it is, guys. I'm sorry. Yeah, these guys are making their own judgment calls. I don't want it over there at the edge. I don't want it over there at the edge. Oh. Well, he's going to put it there anyway. Because fook it, why not? See, I'm trying to leave that edge over there by that wall open for drainage. But I think these guys are just going to screw me. And instead of just spending the entire afternoon fighting them, we're just going to roll with it. I guess what I could do is just block it out entirely and run this whole pile right up against that edge of block. That probably isn't a terrible idea. I don't know. Who knows what the day will bring? We'll see, guys. How the F do you get stuck going downhill? There you go. Now try pulling forward. You got it. There it is. Alright, we'll go dozer out. Apparently I'm going to have to sit the other way and flip around so they don't keep trying to go up the ramp. Because I want to fatten that ramp this whole width. Is the plan. So with that being said, I'm gonna keep at it. I'll hit you guys back here in a little bit after I have a few more trucks down and we start to have a ramp that looks like something. So we'll catch you guys in a little bit. All right guys, into day 2. And we pushed a fair amount of material, but at the same time, not nearly as much as I thought we were going to. We've got, I don't know, if I had to guess, we've probably got 14 to 1600 ton here out of 6600. So we've still got a ways to go. We're not even a third of the way through the project. And I don't know what the plan is for milling. So supposedly they're not milling tomorrow and they're not gonna mill again until next Thursday, but that makes no sense to me because of how little progress they made today. I would think they're gonna have to bump up their milling schedule, but I'm not in charge. I'm just on the receiving end. So anyway, that's where we're at. I'll show you what we've got. In fact, you know what? I'm not gonna show you because we're gonna walk back here so you can actually gaze upon the beauty of our work today. Because when I'm standing right in the middle of it, it's hard to see. So here's what we've got. We have this nice, and we'll get down so you can really see it. It's not an optical illusion. That is a nice freaking lot right there. Everything is pitching this way. It's gonna drain towards us, with the exception of the back corner right back here. That's actually gonna go around the back side of our pile, and we will walk up here so I can show you what we've done. You can see this is sloping up. This is my truck ramp that we were working on today. We're gonna elevate this whole area so that I can get the trucks dumping up almost to the top of this wall. Is ultimately my goal, is to get them on a platform that is as tall as the wall off here to the right, and then they can dump on top and I can actually start stockpiling, you know, 12 to 15 feet high, and we'll get a big old pile going. And then Bill, the owner of the landscape supply place, is talking about bringing in an excavator once it's all done. We'll take this whole truck ramp area here, peel it back with the excavator, and throw it up top on the pile there. So this is as far as we got. I was expecting to run for at least another hour because of what I was told earlier, which is why we just have this abrupt ledge here and I didn't get to tie it all together. I was expecting to at least get close enough that we could tie the whole thing together, but as you can see, we have left a little gap over here along this edge so it can drain, and this is the only portion that doesn't pitch back towards the entrance where I was standing. This actually runs all the way down the side on the back side of our piles and outlets on the back side of the piles out there. So that's how I've got drainage set up on this one. Those were the natural contours that, you know, I was kind of chasing. It's where water should go on this property. So anyway, that's where we're at. Unfortunately, there's no like satisfying payoff on this one because it's not done. And if they're not milling until next Thursday, they're gonna have to find someone else to run their machine because I'm supposed to go up north with the family and I will not be in town to run the dozer. So anyway, so that's that. So if we don't show up here again, it's been fun. If you get another video in this little mini series, they started milling while I was still in town. So Not to keep you on the edge of your seats or anything, but time will tell. So anyway, you guys have a lovely evening. I'm gonna go spend time with the family. Go enjoy the time lapse. See ya.